Arsenal are readying a new £100 million bid. It's still the public stance from West Ham is they want more than 100 million, but West Ham are readying a new £100 million bid, 90 million plus add-ons for Declan Rice. As we all know, the first bid was rejected. City are now involved in this. They want the player. Talk to me, Agal. £100 million this offer now is 90 plus 10, they believe, for the player. City, the big blue shark who's swimming around your feet right now. What's going to happen, do you think?
First of all, I'm not too concerned about City at this moment in time because I don't think City have made a bid or anything else. But if they do progress and they go on to make a bid and they turn the player's head, then I'll be quite more worried. But at this moment in time, we've done a lot of the groundwork with Declan Rice. We've spoken to his family, his agent, done the preliminary conversations with West Ham. Now we're bidding 100 million. I'm hopeful that this deal will get done. I'm hoping that more or less likely this will be something that's wrapped up by the time the international break's done. I don't know when that is, but once the international break's done, we can maybe see him in an Arsenal kit. But until then, I just want to get the bid accepted and then have all the here we goes and everything as soon as possible. Am I getting worried? No. Am I excited? No. I want this wrapped up. We've been doing this since January. Get it sorted so we can go on to the next transfer. For God's sakes, I'm ready to buy a Declan Rice shirt right now. just get the guy in.
Gal, the last time you weren't worried about City, you drew 3 games in a row and then lost to them at the Etihad. I think you need to be worried.
No, that's a lie. I was worried about them back then. I don't remember the last time I wasn't worried about City. But the person who I said I wasn't worried about that actually confused me was Chelsea because they ended up putting the money on the table. So I'll say it again. If Man City want to beat us to Declan Rice, it's going to be a situation where they sell a bunch of their first team players and they bring him in as one of their marquee signings. Until Gundogan and Bernardo Silva walk out that door and I see Declan Rice coming in, I'm not gonna be worried. I think Declan Rice is still gonna be an Arsenal player come the end of the window.
They can still bring in Rice without selling Gundo and Silva because those two are gonna have multiple offers. They're gonna have multiple offers from various clubs, including the Prem. So
also,
what would be ideal for me?
You have to factor in the London factor. He might want to stay in London also.
Yeah,
that's the only thing you should be clutching. The only thing, if Pep Guardiola talks to this player and Gundogan, I'm sure that Man City are well-organized club that they know at least now 90% Gundogan if he's staying or leaving, and I think he might be leaving, right? And also Kevin De Bruyne is getting old. If Pep Guardiola picks up the phone, calls this guy and say, listen, you're coming in, you're learning from the best, from Rodri, you're learning from KDB, you're going to learn from the best, you're going to work with me, we're going to make you a marquee signing for us. He goes there. I'm sorry, Igal. Nothing against Arsenal or anything, but you're only going to be clutching to the London thing. But I think Pep Guardiola and Man City, as of now, after this treble, man, they're a very successful club to the point that I think they have one of the biggest polls in the world now at the moment, especially with Guardiola. The 2 years, it's enough for Declan Rice to be a superstar around the world.
Just for 2 years, Pep Guardiola.
Well also, one more thing, Phillips might be on the way out. Yes, Phillips wants to stay, but today it's reported that they aren't like really strict on keeping him. So they might offer him to West Ham. Take Phillips and we'll take Declan Rice.
They can easily send him the other way around, Mo.
I agree with the guy. They need to finish it now. They need to finish this now.
I understand the player wanting to go to the more ambitious project and everything. I get it, right? Man City is obviously the more ambitious landing spot for him as a player. No question about it. A lot of people would choose City over Arsenal at this moment in time. They just did the goddamn treble. I'm not delusional. But what I'm going to tell you is when it comes to the player doing the groundwork with the player, speaking to his agent, getting a lot of the work done, they're going to have to do a lot to bypass us because we've built.
You've done that with Mudryk.
Up and thing. The difference with Mudryk was One second. The difference with Mudryk is we knew what Schalke were doing the whole time. They were keeping in contact with you guys. This is the first time I'm hearing Man City are in contact with him this whole window.
Chelsea, you guys were in contact. Groundwork means absolutely nothing if you don't get the player, Miguel. Right?
We're gonna get him.
Right. Okay. Well, I hope for Edu's sake we do, because if not, I want his head on a stick. Yeah, because this guy has been negotiating this deal since January, apparently, right? Yeah. We've done the whole respectful thing with West Ham by letting them play their final, blah, blah, blah. That first bid that we made was a joke, by the way, because if you know round or roundabouts what West Ham are asking for the player, why do you go in and lowball like that, right? And I understand that in a negotiation you have to start low and then make your way up, right? But we made this mistake with Mudryk. We made this mistake a second time round, which is allowing Manchester City to come in and show their interest now. And we need to get this deal done and over the line. So, and apparently as well, I don't know how true this is, but apparently, according to one of the journalists on Sky Sports, the way that we structured that first bid and the way that we were structuring the deal was a complete joke as well. So what my question is we've been speaking to West Ham since January. We've definitely been speaking to them since they played their final. Why are we only bidding nowhere near what they want for the player, knowing full well it's going to get rejected? We're just wasting time here. Like, I
have a theory.
Get the player over the line and move on to your next target. I don't understand this.
I have a theory. Call me crazy. Terry, you let me know if you think this is true or not. And anyone here. I genuinely believe that they give us tear drip old news just to mess with us. Like, because this has probably happened, and we probably spoke to West Ham and gave them this £80 million bid months ago. And they're just telling us now because we've actually given them the second bid maybe a couple weeks ago. And everything is being fed to us now because the window is closer and the transfer season.
It was an official bid, Igal. Hold on, it was an official. It was an official bid, Igal.
Official stuff is bullshit. That's what I'm saying.
But why would it be bullshit? Okay, so is the second bid that came in right now official? Is that bullshit? Because I'll tell you something, bro. I sat here 2 weeks ago. That's the last time I was on the top 6, and I said the same thing about Rice, and everyone in the comments was crying. Oh, Staffy's bitter. Staffy hates Arsenal. He has an Arsenal agenda. Look at us 2 weeks later, and we're still talking about this, and it's not even close. And here's the thing, bro. You might want to say that. You just said, like, call me deluded. Yes, I will call you deluded, because what you just said right now was insane. There's a difference between negotiating and officially placing a bid. If I want to buy Terry's car, and I tell him, Terry, what's the price of your car? And he says, Terry, I don't know what your car is. But let's say you said 20 grand. I don't know what it is.
It's a new M4 competition convertible.
He loves talking about his car. I don't know how much that car is, but I'm just going to say a random price. So 20K. And Terry tells me, listen, it's 20K. And I go in officially the next day with money, and I'm like, here you go, Terry, 15K. He's going to be like, are you stupid? I just told you during the negotiations what my evaluation is. Now, the issue is that you guys are not negotiating. This was an official bidding out. And when I sat here 2 weeks ago and I said Arsenal have history of being incompetent when it comes to big deals like that, and have used separate examples, I got called a hater. Look at us 2 weeks later. The same thing is still happening. And now we're talking about Man City coming in. And you're still telling me you're not worried. If I'm Arsenal, I would be worried. I would be worried if I'm any club and Man City's coming in for one of my players, because they're not just ambitious. They already have an established project. Everyone else doesn't have an established project like them. Anyone who goes into that team knows they're already going into an established team, and there's not much transition going on. You're just going to have to go there and be yourself. And that's what's going to happen with Declan Rice. He doesn't need to worry about all that stuff. He's going into a team, potentially going into a team that has just won a treble. So I don't understand how you're not worried.
This doesn't make sense, though. £80 million bid that's coming in this time, official bid this, official bid that. I don't think it's official. I think they're all BS. Honestly, I'm not making this up. I genuinely believe that these bids that they keep saying were rejected, this is that, it's literally just like conversations that they're having. It's not official bids. It's literally, they've had these conversations months ago, and they're just telling us about it now to create more drama. I don't think these things happening at the moment.
More drama for who? Yeah. For who?
Because
for
just 2 weeks ago, we heard about Arsenal have agreed 100 million something. Didn't that come from The Guardian? So how are we agreeing 100 million?
So can I ask you a question? So if your second bid tonight that you're saying is bullshit is accepted, is it a real accept or a fake accept?
No, Terry. What I'm saying is,
hang on, let me finish. Because if that bid was actually done months ago and they're only telling you about it now, why would it be accepted now if you made it 2 months ago? Because as we know, we've seen many transfers be done before season's end. We saw Pulisic signed by Chelsea before a season end. Jude Bellingham was done before the season was ended. So I think you're right to a certain degree, but you're going far too tinfoil hat with it. My view, I agree with you. There's no such thing as an official or an unofficial bid. They're all bids, in my personal view. Maybe there's a different process around it, but I do believe yesterday night or this morning you put in on official paper or official email. It used to be fax. I bet they email now saying we are officially bidding 80 plus 10. I trust what Samuel McBell has said. You're now going to bid 90 plus 10 for the player, but it's official. We want a genuine response from you. It isn't an inquiry. It isn't a would this do, would this work? What would they think of this? So there are differences. I don't think the bid that got announced yesterday was done 3 months ago. I think you're going too far with that. And what I would say about City is this: you are ahead of City right now, but you got to get out of that water, mate. They are a big blue shark. That Jaws music is playing, and if you stay in there too long, if you negotiate too long, they'll bite your legs off.
Can I just add as well?
I think
the deal done.
Before you go, just before you go, I promise I'll be quick. I just want to say, Terry, you reiterated it perfectly. What I meant was these conversations that they're having months ago are now just being publicized because the transfer window is actually happening, and this is where money is being exchanged. Doesn't mean that they haven't already pre-agreed a £92 million fee plus add-ons that's going to happen in a couple of weeks' time. The same transfer that we heard about 2 months ago is going to be official in a couple of weeks' time. That's just all that I'm thinking is going to happen. So it's not a coincidence that you hear about a £92 million bid plus add-ons 2 months ago, and then when the final details come out, it's like, oh, what we heard about 2 months ago is actually what we're hearing on paper.
So is it a coincidence that a new bid came out the same day of the rejection? Like they just planned to let's post the old one just because they're going to do a new one as well. Do you really think that's what happened?
Honestly, I think it's all a circus sometimes. It's a
But
joke.
the fact that we're actually entertaining Igal's idea, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I'm sorry, with all due respect, Igal.
Listen, bro, I get it.
What Igal is telling us, that all the news we're reading now is actually 2 months old, and they're giving us the news today. What are we talking about? You're not serious, Igal, right? You're really just saying stuff.
Carry a pigeon. Carry a pigeon.
I'm dead serious.
Well, this is crazy. You're literally telling us that in March, the bid went for 80 and West Ham rejected it, and they bid 100. But now, because the window is open, they're giving us the news every 3 days.
How many months have we been negotiating?
I have never seen this before, my friend. I've never seen this before. I've never heard of it. And absolutely what you're saying is absolutely crazy. Like, listen,
1 second.
This is I love Arsenal fans.
Wallahi, I don't care. Listen, this is my opinion.
I love you, man, but this is absolutely beyond.
It might be crazy. Call me whatever you want. I don't care. The reality is we've been negotiating since January. There is potential that some of the stuff that's been negotiated since January will be drip fed to the media to benefit either side later on in the negotiations.
Has anybody heard this before? Is this ever happened before? Ever?
It happens all the time. Okay. People benefit. It benefits them to leak information from previous conversations.
Igal. Give me an example. Again, like I've said, I do agree with one bit that all bids are proper bids. I don't really like this unofficial. I just don't like the BS.
Let me give you an example.
However,
Newcastle.
Give me an example. Newcastle. Give me an example. So let me make sure the question's clear. An example of a bid that gets announced by the media in the summer that was actually done in the March.
Okay, that I don't have one off the top of my head, Terry. I don't know. I don't remember everything in world football.
But you said it happens all the time, so surely that you'd at least remember one if it happens that regularly.
I'd have to look it up. I don't remember things too well. But when it comes to, I'm just being honest. But when it comes to, what do you call it? Transfers. We see this all the time. Look at Newcastle the other day. They said they basically spoon-fed news that they completed a £50 million deal with Barella, but it's not remotely true.
So whatever makes you sleep at night, mate. Whatever makes you sleep at night.
Yeah, again, but when you read the story, with the headline said Newcastle closing in on a £50 million deal. When you read the story, it didn't say that. It was a little bit clickbaity in the end. This is different. The headline and the story is an official bid has been made. You don't have you just said again, it happens all the time, but you don't have a single example of what you've said. That this is 3 months old news being posted out now. I want to go to some of the super